At the beginning of a new year, we will set New Year's resolutions or goals for the upcoming year. There's nothing wrong with setting goals for an upcoming project or year. In fact, it is good to plan in advance, but to not let the plans we make take control of our lives. Paul, in writing to the Philippians, says, I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or want. Philippians chapter 4, verse 12. He says he has learned the secret to being content. In Paul saying that, we learn that being content is a state of mind. We will learn to be happy with what we have and not constantly envying someone for what they have, being jealous, or even going the extra mile to make sure someone is unhappy. Philippians chapter 4, verse 13, Paul says, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Paul lets everyone in on the secret to being content, to let our strength come from the Lord. It is easy for us to say that we are content in whatever state we find ourselves, but have we been through trials like Paul? Paul has been in prison several times. He has been hiding from the government. He has also been in positions where he has not been in want for anything. The lessons for Paul to learn was not easy. See, Paul grew up studying at the feet of Gamaliel. We read that in Acts chapter 22, verse 3. Paul was born and grew up in Tarsus of Cilicia, a city of culture that was known for its intellectual people. Paul grew up on the fast track to being a leader in the political realm and the religious realm. We know that Paul was able to obtain letters to have Christians arrested and thrown into prison. Acts chapter 9, verses 1 and 2. It took a life-changing event on the road to Damascus for Paul to see the error of his ways. After several days of being blind, he was baptized into Christ and began his ministry of spreading the gospel to everyone who he came in contact. When we are in the middle of a crisis or a life-altering illness or something that takes us off the course of our plans, it is hard to think that there may be bigger plans that God has for our lives. He did for Paul. Paul wound up writing most of the books of the New Testament, going on 3 different missionary journeys, and impacting countless number of people along the way. Just because the simple fact that he was willing to change the direction of his life. If we listen to Paul in telling the people of Philippi, the secret of being content is trusting God to lead us through and to point us in the right direction during any trials we are facing, then we will gain the strength that Paul had during his life. We will also gain the peace to be able to say, no matter what condition I find myself, I am content.